So I've been selling gaming peripherals for a few years now, and there's one feature that I see consistently people falling for, which is DPI in gaming mice. What DPI, or in fact CPI, means is how many pixels the cursor moves in relation to 1 inch of movement of the mouse. So if you have a DPI of 400, that means an inch of movement of the mouse will translate to 400 pixels on the screen. Now, one thing that DPI is often confused with is sensitivity. These two are not the same thing. DPI is entirely done in the mouse. Sensitivity is entirely in the software you're using, whether that is any game that you're playing or Windows itself. They are entirely separate, but come together to create how much movement your cursor does in relation to your mouse. Now, the usual maximum DPI that a sensor can do is around 800 to 1600. After that, higher DPI counts are achieved by splitting the registered counts. Now, you might assume that this means better, but splitting those counts will eventually lead to digital noise. If you've done any sort of photography or filmmaking, you know that noise is not good. Having high counts of digital noise in the sensor reading will actually lead up to less accurate reading. Another downside of high DPI is that these days, the maximum amount of DPI on a mouse can be utterly ridiculous. My Logitech G502 wireless can do 25.6 thousand. Nobody, and I mean nobody, has ever used a DPI that high. If you use a DPI that high, let me know. I want to know what you use it for. No normal person can use this. Don't believe me? Watch this example. So what you're seeing me use right now is my normal 1000 DPI. This is pretty much what it looks like. Not a lot of hand movement, but possibly slower than some people prefer. Do keep in mind, if this was a 4K display, I'm at 1080p. If this was 4K, I would probably have to bump this up. Now this one that you're gonna see is actually my DPI at my mouse's maximum, 25,600. So just look at my hand, how small my movements are, and how much the cursor is moving. Ready? So, can you even see me move the mouse? There's no, nope, yep. This, as you can see, this is completely unusable. Now that doesn't mean that you should always go for the lowest DPI possible. A lower DPI will mean more movement from your hand. So if you have a small mouse pad or you're concerned about your ergonomics, a lower DPI might not be the optimal solution. As with everything, the DPI count needs to be looked for and found just for you. Now there's a reason why most mice that you can buy that don't have DPI control will default to 1200, 1600, or 2400. Now since you're watching a video that explains what DPI means, most of you are probably going to be looking at this from the point of view of gaming. In regards to gaming, higher DPI has its definite downsides, but it also has some upsides. As we already established, higher DPI count will actually be less accurate than a lower one from the 1600 up. So until 1600, go ahead, pick anything you want, and it'll most likely be just as accurate as anything below that. Go higher, it will most likely start to get less accurate, but how much you will be able to tell, that depends on you. But higher DPI does have some upsides for the people who know how to utilize it. Lower DPI does give you some definite upsides. More movement of your hand will usually mean more accurate cursor placement or crosshair placement. And further than that, you will be able to fine-tune your sensitivity to get you that precise movement that you want. Now, as I know, the gaming viewers, you are all waiting for examples, so you can see what's what. So let's hop in right now. So here we are in Rainbow Six Siege, which is the game I chose to show this DPI difference in. This is my normal sensitivity of 6 with the DPI 1000. So as you can see, I do use quite a bit of arm movement to get things done, but you can still this is kind of what I'm used to in terms of DPI amounts. Don't mind the gameplay, that's not the focus here. So now if we drop this to 400, you can see that when I don't compensate with the sensitivity, it does require quite a lot of movement to be able to do the same things. It's quite a lot slower and definitely not something that I'm used to. Let's hop into another one. So this is 1600. This is now higher than what I'm used to. And you can already see that I am overcompensating on every third turn. Definitely not the easiest thing to demonstrate, because once again, everybody's different. This is just not something that I'm used to, but you can see from my hand movement that when I'm going from corner to corner, the amount of hand movement is significantly affected. That was fun. Now we've hopped into 16,000, which is a common one seen on mice as the maximum DPI. If you were running in Rainbow Six Siege, 6 sensitivity and 16,000 DPI, this is what it would look like. This is borderline impossible. No, not actually borderline. This is just straight up possible for me. Nope. We can get him. There we go. So definitely not usable for me at all. I've completely turned around now. Oh! And because that's not enough, here we are now at 26,000. You can just look at my hand movement compared to anything before, especially compared to 400. Oh! Nope. Yep. Not a lot to say. In regards to the usability of this. This is just impossible. Yeah, so how much movement do I have to do to make a 360? There we go. Let's make a nice big hand movement. Yeah, there we go. I think that was three times around. And with all of that, we've reached the conclusion. So as you've seen, high DPI number on a gaming mouse box doesn't mean anything. So the most important takeaway is, do not believe the marketing. The optimal DPI for you is all in your preference. As long as you are able to tweak that DPI on that gaming mouse, it'll most likely be just good enough for you. And with all of that, please like the video, subscribe, and I will see you guys next time. Peace.